Welcome to HDTV. You now rocking with your boy. NFL went off this damn weekend. I'd probably just watch the best game we've had so far. This whole weekend went off, man. I mean, I can't wait till tomorrow night, man. We get to see Buffalo and Tennessee go at it. But I'm gonna run through the games and everything. The first game, let's see. Okay, the first game was Philly and Pittsburgh. This was a good game early, man. Philly, they put 7 on the board in the first quarter, so did Pittsburgh. And then Philly had 7 and then 10 by Pittsburgh in the second. Third quarter, Philly put up 8, Pittsburgh put up 14, and they both ended with 7 at the end. And basically the Steelers were able to pull it off. Carson Wentz basically went 20 for 35, 258 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. Hurts went 1 for 1, 18 yards. Miles Sanders had a good game, 11 carries for 80 yards, 2 TDs, and he was averaging 7 yards per carry, which is very good. Now, Travis Fulgham, they have found him a receiver, man. I think he's number 11 or 13. 13, yeah. Wentz is 11. He's 13. He was shredding the Steelers secondary, but the Steelers secondary stayed strong at the end to hold them under 30, which is pretty good in this day and age of how the rules have changed for offense. And Fogan was catching everything. 10 receptions, 152 yards, a TD. Greg Ward caught a TD. He had 4 receptions, 26 yards. JJ Arcega-Whiteside did good. Ertz has really been kind of quiet, man. And Wentz has been moving the ball around. He's been hitting his receivers more. He's playing like a quarterback, but I want them to bring his attempts down at least to 30, maybe 28 attempts, and give Miles Sanders at least about 15 to 18 carries. Now, Duke Riley forced a fumble and Cravon LeBlanc picked it up. Darius Slay was their leading tackler. Like I said, if your cornerback is your leading tackler, that is not good for your defense. He has 7 tackles. Duke Riley has 7 tackles and 7 tackles, and I think he had 5 assists. That was their middle linebacker, which is good. But I still want not your corner. Jalen Mills, of course, had some tackles, 6 tackles, 2 assists. He's the safety. And the sacks, it was a half sack by Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox was real quiet, but he got some pressure. Ben's line basically kept that 4 off of him. The Eagles have a decent defense. I see the Eagles, like I said, even though the Cowboys are leading, I see the Eagles winning the NFC East. I think they'll be mentally tougher, and their defense is a little better. And offensively, they can shred Dallas defense. But it's a toss-up because, when Philly play the Cowboys, they always have a crazy matchup. But this game, Philly proved to me that they're mentally tough. They made some mistakes, which was Wentz's 2 picks, but I believe he did that early, and later he got his TDs, but it was too late. The Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger had 27 completions for 34 attempts, 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, man. Ben has just been balling, man. Ray McLeod, he's another running back they found to add to Connor and Snell, man. Ray had 2 carries for 63 yards. Connor had 15 carries, 44 yards, 1 TD. And Benny Snell had 7 carries, 19 yards. Chase Claypool had 3 carries for 6 yards, and he got one of them for a touchdown. receiving, Chase Claypool just destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles. They could not guard him. He had 7 receptions, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eric Ebron, the tight end, he stepped up big catches, 5 receptions, 43 yards. Juju had 4 receptions, 28 yards. James Washington had 3 receptions, 25 yards. And Eric Ebron, he had a fumble. It was crazy. Like, he had it, and then he got hit, and then the ball just popped out. And it was crazy because it was simultaneous. They had to look at it through a review because it looked like he dropped it before he had possession, but he had possession when he lost it. And interceptions, Steve Nelson got 2 picks. And that was their cornerback, number 22. He balled out. He looked good out there. Mike Hilton, he had 8 tackles. And that was their cornerback. Like I said, if your cornerbacks are leading in tackles, that's not good. But they run kind of a 3-4 and 4-3 look, so I understand that. Steven Nelson's Terrell Edmonds did good. Hayden did good. TJ Watt, I believe he got hurt. He had to be carried off the field. He had a sack, though, before he got hurt. And Hilton, the cornerback, got a sack as well. Excuse me. Cameron Hayward had a sack. Steven Tuitt had a half a sack. Had 1.5 sack. Devin Bush was okay. He was flying around, but he really didn't make an impact. Bud Dupree got half a sack, along with Tuitt. So the front 7 of the Steelers is very dangerous, man. They could get pressure on you. Even when Watt went down, their front, they still had extra DNs to go out there and handle their business, and their D tackles was pushing the line up. Their linebackers are good. Devin Bush just flies everywhere. Their secondary is ball hawks. They try to go for the ball, and they also try to take your head off. Very opportunistic defense. Like I said, my brother Kano, he picked the Steelers to be up there in the North, or to win the North, or make the wild card. And so far, they're looking like they're gonna do one or the other. Excuse me, sorry about that. Try to do one or the other. The total yards, Pittsburgh had 367 yards to Philly's 336. Passing yards, Philly had 242 to Pittsburgh's 231. Rushing yards, Pitt had 136 to Philly's 94. Average yards per play, they both were tied at 6. Fumbles lost, Pitt had 1 fumble loss, but the Eagles had 2 picks thrown. Sacks allowed, Philly had 5 compared to Pitt's 1. Third down efficiency, both teams were pretty good, 73 and 71. Time of possession, this is how Pittsburgh won the game. They had the ball for 34 minutes compared to Philly's 25. That's not good for Philly. Philly has to figure out a way not to turn the ball over, as well as get the ball in Miles Sanders' hands more. I think they didn't put the ball in Sanders' hands enough. Now Fulgham's a stud. I don't know where they found him from, but that boy there can play. He was getting catches everywhere, double coverage. He was getting double covered. He still caught it. They were running the zone. He split the zone. He's going to be dangerous. Now the penalties, it was Philly 9 to Pittsburgh 8. The penalties really didn't change the game, but it was those turnovers by Philly. You can't turn the ball over. If Philly wants to win the East, they have got to control the ball. They can't turn it over. And then Carson Wentz is taking too many hits. He is trying to run guys over. Like I said about Dak, I was right. Dak is not going to last till the middle of the season, because I knew he wouldn't, because of the hits he was taking, and then when he was running, he was taking hits. Carson Wentz the same way. Carson Wentz got sandwiched. Luckily, he failed, because if he'd got hit by those guys at the same time, he would have been done for the season. So they need to do a better protecting him, and they need to do a better job of calling plays to keep him out of harm's way. Pittsburgh, they're great. Their offensive line is great. They're looking like the old Pittsburgh Steelers, and they said yesterday when the Pittsburgh Steelers start off 4-0, they ended up winning the Super Bowls. In 2 seasons, they started off 4-0. They won the Super Bowl. I guess that's letting us know, man, Big Ben about to get this Super Bowl probably, which he can. I mean, the receivers are tremendous. Juju, man, you got what's his name? You got Claypool. Claypool 6'4", 6'5". Man, just was out there killing, man. It's him, Eric Ebron down the middle. Ebron is that tight end they missed since Heath Miller moved on. And Juju Smith is having an outstanding season, man. Him and Slay were going at it. They were about to fight for a minute. But Juju held his own. I think James Washington got hurt, but he played a fantastic game. Deontay Johnson, once they know how to use him more, they'll be okay. But overall, man, I give this game a B-. The Eagles have to do better protecting Wentz. And they have to figure out a way when he runs that they need to tell him you need to get down. Because if he gets hit, it's over. But in order for them to win the NFC East, man, they got to cut out on their turnovers and they have to have the ball more. They have to give the ball to Miles Sanders more. Miles Sanders is ready. He can take that load. Just give him the ball. And Wentz need to cut his attempts from 35 to 30. I'm telling you, the more you throw the ball, the less likely you'll win the game. I'm telling you. Every team I've seen with quarterbacks throwing over 35 or 40 attempts a game, their teams do not do well. And they have to figure out how to run that damn ball. You got to. That's all you got to do, Philly. Learn how to keep running the ball and throw it when it's time. Go look at what the Browns are doing. If you watch what Baker's doing, managing the game, throwing the ball in tight windows when it's time to make a play, and he makes them. Now, Pittsburgh is championship ready. They're Super Bowl ready. Now, I just need to see them against Baltimore and the Chiefs and top competitive teams. That's when I could give them that. But right now, they're looking like the most solid team out there. But I have to see them against all the other teams first before I can anoint them, of being contenders. Now, that game was a B-, by the way, and I like Pittsburgh. I got them or probably the Ravens. I think them Ravens and the Browns could probably make it in, but I still think the Raiders could make it in over one of them, but we'll see. Let's see. The next game was Dallas and the New York Giants. The New York Giants put up 14 in the first quarter to Dallas 3. They had 6 points in the second quarter, and Dallas dropped 21 on them. Third quarter, Dallas had 7 to their 3, and the Giants outscored them in the fourth 11-6. So basically, Dallas started off slow again. Dak threw the ball, it bounced off Zeke's hands and a pick 6. And then from then on, it was just trying to fight back. The Giants got another touchdown. So, Daniel Jones, man, he was 20 for 33, 222 yards, 0 TDs, 0 picks. Devontae Freeman, the former Falcon, FSU baby, FSU running back, Florida State baby, 17 carries, 60 yards. He was at and got a TD. He averaged 4 yards per carry. Wayne Gallman, 5 carries, 24 yards. He averaged 5 carries, averaged 5 carries per yard. Averaged 5 yards per carry, excuse me. They didn't run the ball enough to me. The Giants have got to run the ball more. They stopped giving the ball to Freeman. They were trying to have Daniel Jones throw it, which I felt like Daniel Jones to me is Eli Manning. You want to have a running game, have the running game keep going at it, throw some balls here and there. When it hits the fourth quarter, that's when you want him to take off. And he didn't take off, man. Maybe he'll get better, but I like his poise. He takes the hits when he's hit. Daniel Jones is going to be a player, man. He stands in the pocket. He's like Eli. You could win with him or lose with him. If you just keep giving him pieces around him, he'll be fine. Darius Slayton balled out, 8 receptions, 129 yards. Golden Tate did his thing, 4 receptions, 42 yards. And those were some key catches to get him in position to score. Devontae got the ball too, 2 receptions, 27 yards. Evan Ingram needs the ball more. Like Philly, Ertz need the ball more, and Ingram needs the ball more. I don't know if it's that they're hurt or something. They're moving sluggish, but they're not getting open like they usually do. But those guys need to get the ball more, because if your tight end is, see, what y'all gotta understand is, if your tight end is killing the scene, that's gonna open it up for your running game, and that's gonna open it up for other guys, the receivers, to be open, because Daniel Jones could get the ball to them in perfect position, and he did. And they got in the end zone from running into the end zone like they were on the 3-yard line or the 5-yard line, or because Daniel Jones was picking the Dallas defense apart, and then the Dallas defense woke up in the second half and kind of shackled them. Daniel Jones lost the fumble, and that's what killed him. When he lost the fumble, and Blake Martinez, he recovered a fumble on the other side. Interceptions, Fackrell got the pick and ran it to the house. That was a clean play early on. I thought it was going to be over after that. Logan Ryan had 6 tackles, 3 assists. Adrian Colbert, 6 tackles, 2 assists. Dalvin Tomlinson had a sack. And Darnay Holmes and Marcus Golden had a half a sack. And let me see, Logan Ryan. Okay, Logan Ryan is your cornerback. Like I said, teams are not good against the run anymore. You cannot have your cornerbacks making all the tackles. And your free safety, that's fine. Adrian Colbert, that's fine, because free safeties, they're versatile. They can cover and they can come up and hit your ass. Jabril Peppers, he did okay. He was out there. He made some plays. Darnay Holmes, Lawrence was okay. I mean, their defense, their front four is okay, but I mean, you could pick the Giants. The Giants are just a bad football team, man. I would give them a year, maybe 2. And I think they'll be okay. They're not that far away. Even though their record's 0-5 now, they're not that far away from getting better. They just need some things they need to tweak, and they'll be all right. The Cowboys, prayers go out to Dak Prescott, man. Before Dak got hurt, he caught a pass. He caught a pass for a touchdown. That was clean. He threw a pick, which really wasn't his fault. It bounced off Zeke's hand. Zeke has a problem hanging on to the ball in the passing game. Dak went 14 for 21, 166 yards, had a pick before he left. And he was having that problem, man. They're getting down early, and he's having trouble playing when the game is tied or when they tie the game up. He was having trouble. Andy Dalton went 9 for 11, 111 yards, 0 TDs. Ced Wilson got the ball on he got the ball and threw a touchdown to Dak, and Dak caught it, got in. Ezekiel Elliott closed the deal, 19 carries, 91 yards, and he got 2 big TDs to finish off the game to put them in position to win, and he was averaging 5 yards per carry. Tony Pollard has got to get more touches. I don't know what is wrong with Dallas. You draft this guy in the 3rd round and you're barely using him. But when they were using him, Pollard averaged 5 yards per carry, just like Zeke. Give him at least 10 to 12 carries. You're going to kill Ezekiel Elliott. He's not going to make it to the end of the season if you don't give the ball to Pollard as well. Share the damn ball. It's okay to give the back. It's okay to have 2 backs. Okay, Mike McCarthy, it's okay. You can run with 2 backs. Everybody does it. It's fine to do that. It's no problem. You brought Pollard in to take that pressure off Zeke because you don't want Zeke to get hurt. God, man, I swear football today, man, is so remedial. These guys need a book on dummies for football. Now, CeeDee Lamb balled out. I told you, CeeDee Lamb is going to be their number 1 receiver, but he's better when you put him at the Y or you put him at the U. If he's at, what I mean by the Y or the U, if people, you don't know football, for people who don't know football, the Y and the U is basically the slot. Or if you have a tight end, he could be the U. The tight end would be the U receiver, and then the wide receiver who's the slot, who is the third receiver, he would be the Y. All right. Michael Gallup is more like your X receiver, which is great. He plays the X. Amari Cooper can play the Z. Okay, that's fine. But at times, Amari Cooper is soft. He can't handle it. He has really underachieved with that contract that Jerry has given him. He has underachieved terribly. Amari Cooper looked terrible yesterday. Michael Gallup made 2 big catches at the end to put him in position to kick the field goal to win. 4 receptions, 73 yards. Ced Wilson, 4 receptions, 22 yards, and he threw a touchdown. Dalton Schultz wasn't used that much. They kind of took him out the game. Fumbles. Andy Dalton fumbled the ball and lost one. DeMarcus Lawrence, he forced a fumble. Anthony Brown recovered it and ran it to the house. That was nice how he picked it up and ran to the house with it. And defense, Jalen Smith finally fucking showed up. Like, damn, dog. I guess you and DeMarcus Lawrence have to play a sorry-ass team for y'all to ball out. Jalen has 7 tackles for 7 assists. Jordan Lewis has 6 tackles. Your corner can't have that many tackles. Joe Thomas, he woke up at the middle linebacker. Whit Smith had 5 tackles, 2 assists. Xavier Woods played with some effort. He had 5 tackles, but he's a terrible cover corner, man. They've got to, him and Darian Thompson back there, they just do not fit. They need to get somebody who can cover and who can make plays. Everson Griffin had a half a sack, but he was terrible the whole day. He didn't really get any pressure. Lawrence had 1 sack. He's underachieved big time. So just a bunch of underachieving motherfuckers. They underachievers. Greg Zuerlein hit 3 field goals in a row, 3 for 3, and then hit extra point, 4 for 4, and one of his field goals won the game. Let's see. Okay, the teams. Dallas had more yards than the Giants, 402 to their 300. The passing yards, Dallas had 276 to their 211. The rushing was shut down to 89. That's good for Dallas. Their defense stepped up, but it's the Giants, so we can't put no stock into that. And they had one, and Dallas won that. They had 126 rushing yards, and the Giants had 89. The average yards per play for the Giants was 5, and it was 6 for Dallas. They won that one. Fumbles lost. They both were even at 1 interception thrown. Dallas had 1 interception thrown and Giants 0. Sacks allowed, both had 2. Third down efficiency, they were average on 55 and 53%. Time of possession, the Giants won the time of possession, 32 to Dallas's 27. This is what killed the Giants was penalties. They had 8 penalties to Dallas 3. That's good because Dallas usually have around 8 or 9 penalties. And I believe the refs did help Dallas win because the field goal, that fake field goal, if they would allow that to happen where the guy caught the touchdown, that was gonna kill the Dallas Cowboys. They were gonna be done, but they called it basically saying the lineman, I guess he moved. But I didn't see him move that much. I mean, they could have let it slide, but it is what it is. I don't see Dallas winning this division. Can they ball out with Andy Dalton? Can Andy Dalton get them to the playoffs? I mean, yeah, whoever wins the NFC East, y'all, they're gonna get beat the first round. It's just facts. These teams are not going far. If they get to the playoffs and make a run, that just shows that the refs are trying to carry them, man, because Dallas defense isn't consistent enough. And now Dalton in there, Dalton can get you to the playoffs. Now, that's one thing. Dalton gets you to the playoffs, but he's winless there when he gets to the playoffs. So it's like, who cares? But he can get you to the playoffs. Dallas can win this. All they have to do is give the ball to Zeke, and they have to run the ball with Pollard more. If you let Pollard run the ball and then put him in slot sometimes, he can catch the ball outside the pocket. He balled out at Memphis. You guys are making this guy look like he can't play ball or something. Like, shit, what y'all doing? I just hate bad football, and I see potential you can do it. Now, the Giants The Giants just have to tighten up on their penalties and fumbling the ball and doing dumb things. If they cut back on their penalties, the Giants could be a dangerous team. Jason Garrett did pretty good. We actually seen Garrett do some trick plays with the Giants. That's what happens when you leave Jerry. Jerry, you can do what you want to do. You can actually coach and do what you're best at, which is the offense. But this game, I gave this game a D plus. It was an okay game, even though the score is different. It was a D plus, man. Both these teams are trash. Prayers go out to Dak. I hope he gets better. I know he wanted his money, but it's gonna be hard for him to get his money. But man, I pray for him, man, because that was nasty. That was a nasty break. Now, the next game I watched was the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I told you, C-Pen. I told you, man. I told you. I kept telling you, and you was like, man, we're going to be all right. I said, dog, the Raiders are for real. I said on my last video, if you listen to it, if the Raiders didn't have all those fumbles and those turnovers, the Raiders would have won last week. They would have been 4-1 right now instead of 3-2. They are that serious, and they have the safety named Abram, man. Oh my God. Number 24, Abram, he is Steve Atwater reincarnated. Now, Las Vegas had 3 in the first to Kansas City 7. Second quarter, Las Vegas had 21 points and Kansas City had 17. Both teams went scoreless in the third. Both defenses just, I don't know what happened. They woke up and they just start smacking each other. Pat was getting hit. Derek was getting hit, man. Running backs weren't safe. Man, it was sprayed Sunday, man. What I mean by spray is they was getting their ass knocked the hell out. They were getting knocked the fuck out. Now, the fourth quarter, Las Vegas had 16 compared to Kansas City 8. Now, all right, now basically the Raiders, Derek Carr had 22 completions for 31 attempts, 347 yards, 3 TDs, and just 1 pick. He got to cut that pick out, man. But he did a lot better than last week. Josh Jacobs had 23 carries, 77 yards. I want Carr to kind of cut back to 28, and I want Jacobs to get at least about 25 to 28 carries. And he had that for 77 yards. He had 2 TDs on the ground where he muscled his way into the end zone. It was a beautiful run. 3 yards per carry he was averaging. Devontae Booker was balling too. He came in. He got 7 carries for 62 yards, and he was averaging 9 yards per carry. Now, the receiving, Henry Ruggs, this receiving class, Jordan Judy, Henry Ruggs, Jefferson, the other guy in Philly, and CeeDee Lamb, they are the best class I've seen in a long time of receivers. And CeeDee Lamb last game, oh my God, he's the Cowboys' best receiver. Now, Henry Ruggs balled out. He got 2 catches, 118 yards, a TD on one of them. Nelson Aguilar had 2 receptions, 67 yards, 1 TD, and he's been balling since he's left Philly. He's been a better player. I don't know if it was Philly or what. They just didn't use him right. Darren Waller is showing that he could be in arguments with Travis Kelce and Kittle as the best tight end, and Hooper. He's in that conversation. He's about to be the best tight end in the league. The guy's unstoppable. You cannot guard him. He's 6'5" or 6'6" and something, and he has feet like a wide receiver and hands like a wide receiver. Now, he had 2 drops where I was like, all right, man, you got to do better than that. Now, interception-wise, Jeff Heath had an interception. Jeff Heath from Dallas that everybody said was trash. He's been balling out there in Las Vegas. I said Oakland. In Las Vegas with Abram back there. Now, defense, man. The defensive side of the ball. Nevin Lawson, he had 5 tackles. He had 5 tackles, 1 assist, a sack, and a tackle for loss. He balled out. That was the cornerback. Jonathan Abram had 4 tackles and an assist. He was out there just spraying everybody, dog. Corey Littleton is on their linebacker. He was hitting. Um, he was hitting. Cleveland Farrell was holding up in the middle. The Raiders just have to make some more stops. If they add some more talent to that defense, next year, they could be a Super Bowl contender by next year, the year after, or they could do it this year. Nothing's stopping them. But they just make too many little mistakes. If they could cut those little mistakes out, Las Vegas is gonna be tough, man. They played a hell of a game now. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes threw the ball way too much. 43 attempts, 22 yards, 22. Excuse me. He had 22 out of 43. 340 yards, 2 TDs and a pick. That pick kind of hurt him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 10 carries, 40 yards. He needs to have more carries. I need him to get between 15 to 20, maybe 25 to be safe. I don't need Pat throwing the ball 43 times. The Pat early on managing the game, and then C-Pen when it was time for him to make those plays at the end, that's the Pat I want to see. I want him throwing it between 25 to 35 times a game. That's it. I don't need him in his 40s because quarterbacks do not do well when they when they attempt over 40 passes. It just does not do well. Receiving, Tyreek Hill had 3 receptions, 78 yards. Travis Kelce had 8 receptions, 108 yards, a TD, showing that he's the best tight end in the game. McCole Hardman was balling, 2 receptions, 50 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 3 receptions, 40 yards. So you kind of make so basically that's good. Total yards, he basically had 80 yards total. So, and then Sammy Watkins got a touchdown. I think he got hurt. I think he got hit on the side by Abram. I think Abram cleaned his clock and he had to come out the game. I may be wrong if it was Abram. Interception, Bashad Breeland got a pick, which was cool. Anthony Hitchens, the former Cowboy who has been balling since leaving, 7 tackles, 2 assists. Daniel Sorensen, 6 tackles, 2 assists. Willie Gay Jr., 5 tackles, 1 assist. Damian Wilson, 4 tackles, 3 assists. The Honey Badger Matthew really was quiet yesterday. Willie Gay Jr. had a sack also. So Tyrann Mathieu was kind of quiet, but they were throwing away from him a lot of times. They were picking on their corners, and they were picking on the linebackers in covers. The linebackers have a hard time covering, especially against Heller. But I don't think they're going to play an offense like that for a while. But the Chiefs have not been looking good, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Super Bowl hangover. I don't know. I think they might pick it up later, but it's no time to panic. It's just they haven't looked good. They just don't look like a back-to-back Super Bowl team. But anything can happen. Like next month or like in November and December, they could turn it up and just probably beat everybody. But the Raiders are for real, and I was right. The Raiders are for real, and the Raiders, they have a chance to make the playoffs. I still got them making the playoffs. Total yards, Las Vegas 490 to Kansas City's 413. Passing yards, Las Vegas had 346 to Kansas City's 333. Rushing yards, Las Vegas had 144 to KC's 80. Average yards per play, Las Vegas has 7 to KC's 6. Fumbles lost, none. Interception thrown, they both had 1. Sacks allowed, Kansas City had 3 compared to Vegas's 1. Third down efficiency, this is where they were getting Kansas City, 50% to Kansas City's 42%. That's not good. Kansas City has struggled on third downs. They have got to be better than 42%. They have got to be in the 60s. Patrick Mahomes is too good for that. Time of possession, 35 minutes to Kansas City's 24. That's a 9-minute difference. No, excuse me. That's an 11-minute difference. That's an 11-minute difference, and that's what killed Kansas City. That's why Kansas City lost the time of possession. They kept Pat Mahomes off the field, and that's how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Get physical with them, run the ball on them, throw the ball, don't make any mistakes. Keep Pat Mahomes on the sideline and you could win. Now, it's easier said than done because Pat Mahomes is a baller, but they haven't looked good. The Chiefs, I don't know what's going on, but I think they'll turn it around. But I got the Raiders. I don't have them winning this division. I think they'll split with the Chiefs. I think they can sweep the Chargers, and I think they can sweep the Broncos. So I'm not worried about those games with them. Las Vegas had 8 penalties to Kansas City 10 penalties. That's not good from not either team. Either team has got to have no penalties, or at least at most 2 or 3. Or both teams are going to go home early when the playoffs start. But that game, that was a great game, man. I give that game a B+. This was a good game. Kansas City and Las Vegas, it was a great game. If you watched it, it was real football. Like John Gruden and Andy Reid, watching them play chess against each other, it was great. Watching 2 offensive-minded coaches going at it with each other, trying to test each other, trying to see how I can get over you, you get over me. See, that's football. See, these guys coached. Andy Reid and John Gruden actually coached the game. And I appreciate that. That's what we need more of from these other dumb coaches they got out there. All right, now we did Philly, Dallas, Las Vegas. What was the other game? Okay. Minnesota and Seattle. Minnesota choked this damn game away. I am still pissed. Minnesota should be 2-3 right now. Seattle should be 4-1. But this is what happens when you're thinking too much. And these are coaches, situational football. Mike Zimmer has been showing a lot of making bad decisions as his coaching staff. Now, first quarter, Minnesota, they came out attacking. They came out aggressive. They picked the Seattle Seahawks apart. It was like, oh man, Minnesota finna run away with it. And then I guess they went for a field goal instead of scoring. They couldn't get the ball in the end zone. That's what also killed Minnesota. Because if Minnesota could have gone up 14, because they had 7 points in the first and 6 points in the second quarter. So they had a total of 13 points in the first half. If they could have got more than 13, if they could have got 14 points in the second quarter, this game would have been over. Because Seattle looked terrible. Offensively, they were terrible in the first half. It was 13-0. Now, the second half, this is when Russell Wilson turns into Joe Montana. Russell Wilson is the new Joe Montana. I'm sorry. He's the new Joe Montana. You not going to like me when I say it. Niner fans are going to cuss me out. My boy Jake going to see me like, hey, Calderon, hey, man, with the F, Harry, with the F, man. You know, he going to cuss me out in Spanish, everything. But Minnesota settled for field goals in the third. I think they got a touchdown, but I think they missed the field goal when they got to 6. I think they missed the field goal as well in the second. I'm not sure, but they scored 6 in the third. Seattle had 21, and in the fourth quarter, Minnesota had 7, and then Seattle had 6. So 27-26, the Seahawks won. Now, looking at the stats, Kirk Cousins was 27-39, 249 yards, 2 TDs, and a bad pick. Alexander Madison was killing because Dalvin Cook, I think, was hurt. I think he pulled his hamstring. He had 20 carries for 112 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry, no touchdowns. That was Alexander Madison. Dalvin Cook had 17 carries, 65 yards, and a TD. That was in the first quarter. It was nasty how he scored on that TD opening drive. 4 yards per carry he averaged. Mike Boone was averaging 10 yards per carry, 2 carries to 19 yards. He did good too. So the Vikings have talent, man. It's just they just can't close. Receiving, you had Adam Thielen who had 9 receptions for 80 yards, 2 TDs. And I see why they don't need Diggs no more. Thielen is a beast. Irv Smith balled out too, 4 receptions, 64 yards. And Thielen had 2 TDs, by the way. Cook had 5 receptions, 24 yards. Alexander Madison had 3 receptions, 24 yards, which is good for him. Justin Jefferson was stretching the D. He had 3 receptions for 23 yards. He's been balling. Defensively, Eric Wilson got a pick. The defense, Eric Kendricks has 7 tackles. 7 tackles for an assisted in 1. Eric Wilson had 4 tackles, 2 assists, and he had a sack. Ifedi Odenigbo had 1 sack as well. Ngako had 1 sack. Lynch had a sack because they were killing him early, but that was the problem. They were killing him early, but late they just couldn't get to Russ. Russ just turned it to another level. And Eric Kendricks is their middle linebacker. He's been great for a long time, man. He's one of the best in the league. Now, let's see. The Seahawks, Russ and Russ we trust. 20 completions for 32 attempts. See, that's how you play the game. All you quarterbacks need to watch Russell Wilson. 20 for 32, 217 yards, 3 TDs. He had a costly pick, but I could live with that. 32 attempts. That's what Russ needs to throw, between 25 to 35 attempts. If he can get lower, I'm good with that too. Rushing yards, he had 5 carries for 58 yards. That was Russ, averaged 12 yards per carry. Chris Carson had 8 carries, for 52 yards. Had a TD averaging 7 yards per carry. He needs to have more carries. Chris Carson has got to get more carries. Travis Homer had 3 carries, 14 yards, averaged 5 yards per carry. Those guys need more carries, and Russell needs less attempts. Receiving, DK Metcalf is a beast. DK Metcalf is another Terrell Owens, but the difference is he's faster and he's a lot bigger. They about the same size. He's faster though, and he has a little better hands in the clutch than T.O. had. But DK Metcalf, 6 receptions, 93 yards, 2 TDs. Tyler Lockett had 4 receptions, 44 yards. Chris Carson has 6 receptions, 27 yards. He was intricate in the passing game, made some good plays. Fumbles. Demontre Moore forced a fumble. KJ Wright recovered it. Benson Mayowa forced a fumble, but they picked it back up. Interceptions. KJ Wright got a pick. The ball was thrown. He just tipped it to himself, which was a smart play. I love that play. He did his thing on that one. Defensively, Cody Barton had 9 tackles and 5 assists, and he was balling at linebacker. Cody Barton came in and did his thing. Shaquille Griffin has 7 tackles, an assist. That's not good. Your corner shouldn't be out tackling you. Bobby Wagner had 5 tackles, but he had 9 assists, meaning he was always around. KJ Wright only had 2 tackles, 1 assist. Quentin Dunbar, that's the cornerback. He had a nasty hit, but they called a flag on it because he had helmet to helmet, but he was out there banging. The Seahawks defense was straight. They weren't that bad. They buckled down when they need to buckle down, and I still think this team could get to the Super Bowl. It'll be interesting. Now, Minnesota had a chance to win this game at the end. They could have kicked the field goal. This is what happened. They tried to go for it, which I don't know why they tried to go for it, because even if the Seahawks scored, they would have had to get a 2-point conversion, and that would have hurt them. So they missed the 2-point. Then when that happened, they were only up by 6. And then once they were up by 6, the Seahawks came back down. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. Now, Now the Seahawks basically they were good. I mean, they scored and then they didn't have to make the 2-point conversion because when they scored, they were up by 1. Which I was looking at the Vikings. Why would you do that? You should have just kicked the field goal. So the Vikings choked this game away. Big time. Minnesota had 449 yards to Seattle's 314. And passing yards 248 to 190 for Minnesota winning that. Seattle had only 190. Rushing yards, Minnesota had 201. That's terrible. Seattle's run defense is horrible. They've got to do better. And they gave up. And in Minnesota, they rushing defense wasn't good either because they gave up 124 to Seattle. Average yards per play, Minnesota had 5 to Seattle 6. Fumbles lost, Minnesota had 1 to Seattle had 0. Interceptions thrown, both had 1. Sacks allowed, Minnesota had less with 3 to Seattle's 4. Third down efficiency, Minnesota was 42% and Seattle was 0%, which means they had a lot of 3-and-outs. Time of possession, Minnesota should have won this game. Like I told you, if he would have kicked the field goal, they'd have won because they kept Russell off the field. They had the ball for 39 minutes compared to Seattle's 20. That is a 19-minute difference. And that was huge. Minnesota could have won this game. They choked this game more than Seattle won it. Penalties, Minnesota had 3 more than Seattle. Seattle had 3, Minnesota had 6. This game to me was like a C or a C minus. It was just a lot of dumb play calling and dumb calls. Like it was a C minus. It wasn't that good. The score doesn't indicate it was that great, and it was hitting a little. It was hitting on both sides on defense, but it just shows you like if you don't know how to coach situational football, your team's gonna lose. But that game is a C minus. Tip your hat off to Seattle. They barely made it out of there. Minnesota choked this game away more than Seattle won it. Minnesota choked this game more than Seattle won. Now, let's see. Let's see. All right. The game that was nice was the one we just saw. This was the best game of the weekend, the Chargers versus New Orleans. Justin Herbert is a baller. He's going to be fine. He just has to work on staring receivers down, and he takes too many hits. When he runs the ball, he doesn't get down fast enough, and plus he stands in the pocket a little too long holding the ball. He got to let that thing fly. The Chargers had 6 in the first quarter, 3 to New Orleans 3. Second quarter, the Chargers had 14 to New Orleans 7. Third quarter came, Chargers had 0 and New Orleans had 3. Fourth quarter, they only put up 7 and New Orleans had 14. And then they went to overtime and the Chargers choked it at the end. I mean, they threw the ball and a couple receivers dropped the pass. If they would have got the first down, they could have got in field goal range to kick the field goal and get another shot. But New Orleans won OT 3-0, so it's 30-27. Now, Justin Herbert was 20 of 34. That's fine. That's cool for him to attempt 34 passes, 264 yards, and 4 TDs. But what he's showing me, Herbert cannot close. That's what he's showing me. He's showing me that he can't close the deal, but it really wasn't all him. His receivers were dropping too many passes. Rushing, Justin Jackson gave him 15 carries for 71 yards, 5 yards per carry average. Joshua Kelly had 11 carries for 29 yards and 3 yards per carry. He was averaging, so them two, they gave him a running game. I want him to get a little bit more carries between 19 to 25. I don't know why they don't run their running backs like they used to. They just keep them on the shelf. I'm like, for what? Mike Williams balled out. He got the ball, but he couldn't shake Lattimore to get the first down. Lattimore stopped him along with Davis when they hit him simultaneously. Mike Williams had 5 receptions, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Guyton had a reception for 49 yards. Keenan Allen had 2 receptions, 49 yards, a TD, and I think he got hurt. Hunter Henry, 4 receptions, 23 yards, and a TD. But I think Keenan Allen got hurt and ain't play really later in the game. I think that was a huge loss for them. Fumbles, this will hurt him. Justin Herbert fumbled the ball. Brandon Facy's son on defense forced a fumble, but it was not recovered. It was covered by the Saints. Interceptions, Nazir Adderley got a pick. Defensively, Kazir White had 10 tackles and 5 assists. And that's their outside backer, man. Number 44, he was hitting all day, man. Rayshawn Jenkins, 7 tackles, 2 assists. Michael Davis, 6 tackles, 1 assist. Uchenna Nwosu had a sack, and Joey Boza had a sack. They got to get some more sacks than just one, man, because you can't let Breeze be back there barely touched. Barely touched, Breeze will just kill you, man. You got to do better than that. Now, the Saints, they started off so slow. The Saints have not looked good to me the past weeks, but this game they looked a little better, but they need Michael Thomas back because Breeze just does not look that well. He had 33 completions for 47 attempts, which is terrible. Like I said, Chargers actually, to me, lost this game more than the Saints won it. Seriously. The Saints, Breeze can't be throwing 47 all the time. He's not young anymore. You got to take pressure off of him by running the ball. So Breeze had 325 yards with 33 completions, 47 attempts, a TD and an interception he thrown. Alvin Kamara had 11 carries, 45 yards, averaged 4 yards per carry. Latavius Murray, he needs to get the ball more. He only got 8 carries, 34 yards, 4 yards per game. Taysom Hill, 3 carries for 13 yards, averaged 4 yards per game. Latavius and Alvin Kamara need to have 15 to 25 carries a game. They need that. Taysom Hill needs about 10 or 12. Now, receiving, Emmanuel Sanders killed the Chargers. He was balling. 12 receptions, 122 yards. You know, man, he woke up. He did his thing, man. I was happy, man. I'm like, man, good job, man, because he's been asleep for the past weeks, man. I don't know what was going on with him. He was real asleep. You know, he woke up and balled out, which was good. But, you know, he got to ball out sooner, man. You know, he's been quiet. But 12 receptions, 122 was good. Alvin Kamara had 8 receptions, 74 yards. Jared Cook had 2 receptions, 52 yards, and a TD. Marquez Callaway, 4 receptions, 34 yards. And Latavius Murray had 2 receptions, 23 yards. So they had balance on offense. They just need to run the ball a little more with Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. But Taysom Hill got a touchdown and Drew Brees got a touchdown when he jumped over the Powell, and that helped them get their points. Cook, like I said, had a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders fumbled, but the Saints got it back. Defense, Cameron Jordan was a monster again. 5 tackles, 5 assists, showing that he's probably the best pass rusher in the game next to Myles Garrett. He had a half sack. Marshawn Lattimore had 4 tackles, 2 assists. Sheldon Rankins had a sack. And Lattimore made a big tackle to save Williams from getting that first down in OT to win the game. Troy Hendrickson had 1.5 sacks and 1 tackle, 1 assist, excuse me. And basically, man, this was a great game. I give this game an A-. It was a good, entertaining game. It was fun to watch. They were going at it. The Chargers have a bright future. They have a real bright future. I love Herbert. Herbert's going to be a baller. He shows poise. Him and Joe Burrow, to me, are the same. They showed a lot of poise being first-year guys. Anthony Lynn just has to get the penalties and turnovers down some. I mean, not the penalties, but he needs to get he has to teach his team how to close, and guys got to catch the ball. Guys can't be dropping the ball. They dropped 3 key passes for them to get the first down. They just dropped it, and then Mike Williams, he threw it to Mike, and Mike just got tackled by Lattimore and Davis, and just bad play calling, man. The Chargers lost this game more than the Saints won. Total yards, New Orleans had 408 to the Chargers 350. Passing yards, New Orleans had 313 to their 239. Rushing yards, the Chargers had 111 to New Orleans 95. Average yards per play, the Chargers basically 5. They were averaging to New Orleans 5. But the rushing yards, the New Orleans Saints have got to stop the run. The Chargers had 111, and New Orleans only had 95. So the Chargers defense is serious, and the Saints need to work on their defense. The Saints, got to work on their run defense. Fumbles lost. Neither team had a fumble loss. Interception thrown. New Orleans threw a pick. Chargers didn't. Sacks allowed. Chargers had 3. Sacks allowed to New Orleans 2. Third down efficiency, the Chargers were at 47%. New Orleans at 33%, which is terrible. Time of possession, New Orleans won it by 5 minutes, which is a huge difference within 5 minutes. 35-30, and penalties, Chargers only had 1 to New Orleans 5. So New Orleans basically has to figure out at the end of the day, New Orleans has got to buckle down on defense, and they can't start off slow like that, because if you start off slow against the wrong team, they're going to blow your ass out the water. Now, I still got Tom Brady and them winning, and the Saints, to me, they don't look that impressive. I think the Bucs can get them, and I think the Panthers could get them. Everyone sleep on Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers. They're asleep. They're asleep. They need to wake up, because they're here to play now. So, do I think they can win the South? No, I got the Bucs winning the South, and Carolina could sneak up on them. The Chargers, they're gonna be good. I give them like a year, maybe 2 at most. They'll be there. They just need to add some more pieces, and I think they ought to keep the coach, but they're gonna fire him because he's a black coach and he's not having success right now. So they're gonna get rid of him and bring in a good old white boy. That's just how they do. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this. I'm going to give you the recap of tomorrow's game, which is Buffalo and Tennessee. New England and them, I believe they postponed their game later, but I will give you the review tomorrow night with Buffalo and Tennessee. And if you want to donate to the page, cash at me at welcome, which is the word welcome, the number 2, HDIITV. And like I said, thank you for listening. And we out, man. Live boy.